My name is Saadiq Muhammad. Most people pronounce it Sadiq Muhammad. I'm a Tuhon in the PTK Kali system. I'm also studying under Amaguru Rafi Pabawan and the Pabawan Arni system. I'm working my way up to the guru level there. So that's who I am, from Pasadena, Maryland. Right now I'm living in Baltimore, Maryland. Growing up in Pasadena was crazy because it was in the 70s. You know, I was born in the 60s, grew up in the 70s, and you still had, you know, slight racial tensions and different things like that. So growing up in Pasadena, where it was majority African Americans was a minority, we didn't really have good access to martial arts. So the only martial arts we saw was Kung Fu on TV, Kung Fu theater every Sunday, and then one of our fathers or uncles would get us all together in a truck or something, drive to Baltimore and go see an all-day Kung Fu theater in one of the theaters, right? So growing up, I was raised by my grandparents. Growing up with my grandparents was beautiful. I never knew I was poor. I always had food, I always had clean clothes, and I always had a positive message. So growing up in Pasadena to me was good. I left at 17 though. I joined the Air Force, and I stayed in the Air Force for 25 years, and it exposed me to a lot of different things, a lot of different people. And that's where I got my first taste of Filipino martial arts. My roommate, I was about 19 years old, my roommate was doing triangle footwork. And I was watching him outside from the window. I was like, what the heck is he doing? So I went out there and I said, man, what you doing? He says, I'm training. You just moving in a triangle, moving in a circle. What are you doing? That's footwork. He said, you want to try it? I tried it. I was tired within 2 minutes. And then I tried it again. And then he started putting parries in it. I said, what kind of art is this? It's my family system. I go to find out there are millions of families in the Philippines because of the 7,000 islands. So his family had a system, somebody else's family had a system, somebody else had, so now I was hooked. I had to find Filipino martial arts. And the rest has been my journey. No, actually, Tenshin Pai Kung Fu was. And my children all grew up doing Tenshin Pai Kung Fu. They're black belts in Tenshin Pai Kung Fu. I started my children off at 4 years old. Now my oldest is 35, my youngest is 26. They're all black belts in Kung Fu. Okay?
When did you decide to transition to the style that you're studying now?
It was about 1985, I started looking for something other than Kung Fu because I wanted a combative system that I didn't have to have so many flowery moves. I wanted to get right to the meat and potatoes. I wanted to be direct. So I met Amaguru Rafi Pabawan in the 90s at a seminar. And then I met Leo Gaihi Jr. in 91, 92. And to me, there was nothing better. So then I went with GT Gaihi where he was teaching. And I said, sir, I want to join your school. I want to be your student. And he looked at me, just, okay, hit the bag. So I took a stick and he says, keep hitting. I hit the bag 1, I hit this bag 2. 2.5 hours later, he walks out the school, he comes back. 2.5 hours later, he comes back and he asks one of the people in the school, did he stop? And the guy's like, no. He said it in Tagalog, no, he didn't stop. So he comes to me, he says, that's good. And I said, okay. He said, you hit the bag 10,000 times. So I know it takes me 2.5 hours to do 10,000 strikes. So that's the goal I give my students here. You hit that bag 10,000 strikes. You'll know when you're doing it when it's 10,000 strikes and it's 2.5 hours. And I make them count. Then I said, You get tired of counting, you forget your number. How long have you been doing this? Hour and a half, you're not at 10,000 yet. So that's my base model from what I learned from Leo Gahi for hitting that bag. And my hands was bleeding, calluses all ripped open. My hands was ripped to shreds. And I kept hitting that bag because I wanted it that much. And I completed it. About 30 years. No, I'm exaggerating a little bit. It was actually more like 22 years. Because when I was introduced into martial arts, Grand Tuhon Leo Gahi formed a group in Maryland called the Maboxic Bulls. He didn't train us the way he trained other people. Our mission, and what he called it, our mission was to bring the power, the strength, and the fear back to PTK for Kali. So we were taught to fight. We weren't taught techniques. We weren't taught drills. We were taught to hit hard, hit often, and strike. If we touched something with our stick, it was supposed to break the bone. If we touched it, we were supposed to cut with our stick. We were taught to fight. We went all over the United States fighting. And we kept doing that for like 3 years, 4 years. Eventually, we all drifted to different places. And I would still go see Grand Tuhon Leo Gahi in the Philippines. And the years come by, and I would never ask for rank because I didn't want to rank. It didn't matter to me. I just wanted to learn. So I started understanding the art. I started understanding the system. With that, with my fighting prowess, I said, man, I'm pretty good at this. And then I started understanding the philosophy behind it, and the concepts behind it, and the principles behind it. So then now my concepts, my principles, and my theories all became facts. So after 20 years, GT says, what's your rank? I said, I don't have one, sir. He says, what? I said, no, sir, I don't have one. He says, what do you think you should be? I'm like, Mandela? He says, no, you're a Tuhon. And he took me to the Philippines and promoted me to Tuhon. And I've been trying to share and give back ever since. I don't consider myself an instructor. I consider myself a student. And I consider myself sharing with other students who train with me. See, if I'm an instructor, I'm going to teach. That means I can't grow, I can't learn. If I'm a student, everything that my students throw at me differently, I have to understand and put into 4 categories. What type of concept is he using? What principles do I use to counter it? What theory? What can I do? Will it work? Is it a theory? How do I prove it to be a fact? So everything I see my students do, or I show them, or I share with them, I have to be able to show them the counter. Then I have to show them the counter to the counter. Now I want them to show me a counter to what I showed on them. So we constantly share. And it's a family to me. It's a brotherhood, a sisterhood, it's a family. I don't take on that instructor-student relationship. But if I did, I got this from my teacher, Amaguru Rafi Pabawan. The student and the instructor are like the feet, 2 feet. You move forward, you move backward, side to side, in a circle, but you're together. You have to move together to be successful in your movement. If we just tied one to the tree, the other couldn't move. If we cut off one, you couldn't walk by yourself. If you tied the feet together, you still couldn't move. But when you walk in unison together, same goals, the same orientation, you move beautifully together. So that's how I see instruction and sharing with my students or my fellow training partners. My expectations is to take what I share with you and make it about you. I don't want a mini me. PTK, FMA, whatever martial arts or combat arts you're doing has to evolve. It doesn't evolve if people are still doing the things that I did when I was 20, or I did when I was 40, or I did as I was 50. If I'm still doing the same things at 65 and 70, then indigenous combat is what I call my art or school. Indigenous combat won't grow. My students or my partners or my sharing training companions won't grow. When we go to other places, we see something. I was taught this by Tuhon Jesse and Amaguru Rafi Pabawan. Rock soup, man. What is rock soup? I have a big pot. I'm hungry, but I have no food. I have no money. I throw some rocks in there. Someone comes and say, hey, what are you boiling? Some rock soup. That can't be good. Well, if you go get some cabbage and bring it back and throw it in here, maybe we'll have some cabbage and rock soup. Then somebody smells the cabbage boiling. Hey, what are you making? Some cabbage rock soup. So he says, okay, I'm gonna bring some seasoning. So he throws the seasoning in. Then someone else comes. What are you cooking? Cabbage seasoning. So then somebody throws some chicken in. Then somebody throws some tomatoes and onions in. So now we got 10 people. Now we got a stew. Now we're all eating. We're all sharing. We're all growing. That's martial arts to me. That's what I want my students to do. Grow, share, be better than me. And have your training partners or your students be better than you. This is not a selfish art. Martial arts, combat arts should not be selfish. It should be about humanity. It should be about love. It should be about understanding. It should never be about I'm the best. I want to make the best money. My school is the best. That's nonsense. You don't grow that way. Build, uplift the spirit of the combat arts or the martial arts or the warriors of light. Don't tear somebody down to make yourself look big. As I was told by my religious upbringing, never bray like the donkey because you assume and you look like an ass. So stop braying. Stop, you don't want to hear that. It's annoying. Say thank you, sir. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. And that's to people you're training or training with. Sir and ma'am goes both ways. Not just because you're the head instructor or teacher. Not because I'm a Tuhon. You deserve as much respect that I deserve. The people training in combat arts, I tell everyone, commitment and dedication is what will make you a success. I can't control that. Only you can. Not only in martial arts, combat arts, but that's in life as well. Commitment and dedication takes you to where you want to be. 3 things: opportunity, time, and luck. Those 3 things, if you lose them, you'll never get them back. Seize the moment, seize the day. Never waste an opportunity. Don't waste your time, and always enjoy the good fortune of the luck. See, if something bad happens to you, don't look at it as bad. Look at it as a chance to improve on that situation. Smile about it.